An online program has been hacked, and CSUN students are being told how to protect their personal information. Pope Francis makes his first trip to the United States after visiting Cuba. Small black balls are floating in some Los Angeles area reservoirs to help save water during the drought.
This is Valley View News.
Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Arnulfo Romero.
And I'm Noemi Barajas.
The mother of baby Doe, later identified as Bella Bond, is being held on $1 million bail. Rochelle Bonds' boyfriend, Michael McCarthy, is suspected of killing Bonds' daughter and dumping her body in Boston Harbor. Prosecutors say the pair believed the toddler was a demon. The mother is facing charges of accessory after the fact and unlawful disposal of human remains. McCarthy is being held without bail on murder charges.
3 people were stabbed at a children's Little League baseball game in Ventura. The stabbings occurred at Harry Lyon Park. 2 of the victims were a 38-year-old father and his 19-year-old son. Police say there were 2 assailants. They arrested an 18-year-old man who they believed is also a suspect. It is unclear if the stabbing was gang-related.
Pope Francis' 6th-day visit to the United States has been his first. His busy schedule included Washington, D.C., the White House, and moving on to famous cathedral churches and the Capitol building in New York. He was scheduled to visit St. Patrick's Cathedral and the 9/11 Memorial Museum. Church officials estimated that 1.5 million people would attend the closing ceremony in Philadelphia.
A woman in Reseda allegedly beat her boyfriend's mother to death with a baseball bat. An argument broke out between the 26-year-old woman and her boyfriend's mother in a backyard. The woman fled after the beating, but an arrest warrant was issued. The victim was taken to a nearby hospital where she was pronounced dead. 3 people say they witnessed the attack. Now the woman is being held in lieu of a $1 million bond.
Students across the Cal State University system have had some problems with their personal information being stolen by hackers. Valley View News reporter Wahid Loden says students are concerned about the situation.
Many people store their personal information digitally through smartphones or computers. Global consulting firm Deloitte says 90% of this information is hackable. This is the reality for nearly 80,000 students across Cal State universities. On September 3rd of this year, CSU officials sent out this email. It says the CSU has learned of exposure for student information. Back in March, sexual violence prevention training was required of all students by the state of California. Who is the vendor of this training program? We End Violence. We End Violence launched Agent of Change, which was a simulation used to teach students about sexual violence prevention.
Is Jill okay?
I don't know. She wouldn't talk to us. Maybe she's too wasted to talk. Jessica stayed to try to get her to drink some water before she passed out.
Anna thinks Scott may have done something to her.
I guess we won't know.
The hacks revealed confidential information to students' ID numbers, mailing addresses, and their account passwords. We End Violence even guaranteed students' information would remain confidential. At Cal State Northridge, students aren't too happy with what has happened.
I think it's a pretty scary thought to have all this personal information out there with some random person.
While I believe the We End Violence program had good intentions, I do believe that the administrators could have had a better handle on anticipating our privacy being compromised.
The 80,000 hacked account for more than 15% of all students attending Cal State's. This news matches up perfectly with other recent major hacks such as Ashley Madison, the site infamous for cheating on a partner, and the alleged Apple iCloud hacks, which revealed hundreds of nude photos from celebrities. Information technologists are advising anyone who was hacked or believed they were hacked avoid any possibility of revealing confidential information. This includes saving passwords on computers and smartphones and changing their passwords to important sites such as school or banking. Cal State representatives are urging students to take up concerns and questions with We End Violence. They even took down any web links that can directly take students to the Agent of Change program. I reached out to the We End Violence program in San Diego, and although they couldn't be reached for comment, they had this to say. In addition to taking down the Agent of Change website and working with third-party computer forensics teams, we have been working with our web developers to restore the site in a secure manner. In Northridge, this is Wahid Loden for Valley View News.
Cal State Northridge students now have a rejuvenating tool to help with their academic success. Valley View News reporter Arnulfo Romero takes us to CSUN's new Oasis Wellness Center.
Relax, revive, and succeed.
That is the goal that Cal State Northridge's new Oasis Wellness Center has set for students. Located on campus at the University Student Union, this facility provides a stress-free paradise for CSUN students.
To have something like this is pretty awesome because I have about an hour break in my day on Thursdays, so to be able to come here and be able to rejuvenate myself and relax and take a 15-minute nap if I need to, enjoy the air conditioning as well is pretty great.
The University Student Union, in collaboration with other departments on campus, opened the Oasis Wellness Center after learning the results of a nationwide research.
It originated from a study done in 2011 called the National College Health Assessment. And what the results of that study indicated was that two of the main barriers to academic performance or successful academic performance were high stress levels and a lack of rest.
The Oasis Wellness Center offers nutrition counseling, meditation, massages, acupuncture, nap pods, and workshops focused on wellness and managing stress. Many of the resources for the center come from other departments on campus. The staff on site are dedicated to the silence to amplify the sound of the low-tempo music and the drips of the fountain. Most importantly, to ensure that students can escape the hectic campus life.
Because between work and school, usually have like an hour or two break. So having a place like this to come to just relax, be able to concentrate, have it nice and quiet, I think would really help a lot.
The Oasis Wellness Center hopes students use the facility as a tool to academic success.
I think, really well received. I think students are excited about what's to come in the future and see how this will actually help them persist toward graduation and academic success.
The Oasis Wellness Center served over 1,200 students within its first 2 days, and it plans to conduct research in conjunction with its usage. On my way to relax at the Oasis Wellness Center at Cal State Northridge, I'm Arnulfo Romero for Valley View News. The climate pattern known as El Nino is projected to hit California this winter.
Ashton Smith is in Studio B with CSUN professor who's an expert on El Nino.
Thank you. I'm here today with Dr. Emily Orm, Professor of Geography here at CSUN. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so can you explain to our viewers what El Nino is?
Yes, El Nino is an event or a series of events which develop in the western Pacific Ocean, in which there is a large pool of very warm water which migrates eastwards across the Pacific Ocean around the equatorial area. It's a series of events which happen roughly every 6 to 8 years, and as the pool of warm water migrates towards the eastern Pacific areas, for example off of Peru, we find that a couple of things happen. First of all, the warm water displaces the normally cool water off of the Peruvian coast. Secondly, the trade winds, which are normally very strong, blowing across the Pacific from east to west, begin to weaken. And thirdly, we have increased convective activity around the equatorial area, again migrating eastwards towards the west coast of South America and Central and North America.
Okay. So what are the pros and cons of El Nino then?
Well, it's not so much that we have pros and cons of El Nino. What El Nino brings us is a displacement of this normally cool water in the eastern Pacific. So on the one hand, we see mass migrations of marine life. For example, for here in California, what we're finding is that there are more tropical species which are in our waters. And our waters right now are anywhere from 2 to 3 degrees Celsius warmer than what they normally would be. So it's not a matter of a pro or a con. The other part of El Nino is that potentially we could have above average rainfall in this region. But we need a certain set of circumstances to actually help develop these storm systems.
Okay. So with the rainfall and all, is El Nino going to be good for the drought in California?
Well, first of all, we have to accept that even though we're having an El Nino, we may or may not get that influx of water. It's really critical that we also have a drop in the jet stream, which will help to bring the low pressure systems from the area of the Aleutians farther southwards to California, and then get that great mix of warm water and move it on shore. We need a lot of rain, though, to make up for the drought. And just to give you an idea, right now, for the central and southern Sierra Nevada, which really holds our snowpack, we would need at least 273% of rainfall to actually start to make up this deficit.
Okay. I know there are people that are worried about El Nino. Is there anything that people can do to prepare for it?
Oh, absolutely. We can prepare for El Nino, and let's prepare for the type of situation where we could have above average rainfall, and that means flooding. So it means, on the one hand, that you have all of your drains cleared of debris in your homes. You have a supply of food and water in case there are areas that are flooded and you can't get to the markets. And you always have an emergency backup plan where you can find your relatives and your friends in an area that is not being affected by flooding.
Okay, well, that's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Calabasas and other cities in Los Angeles County have discovered an interesting new way to save water. Valley View News reporter Ayo Adelaja went to Calabasas to give us an inside look on what they're doing.
California is in a drought and water is scarce. To preserve water, these shade balls have been dumped into this reservoir. The shade balls float on water and have a lifespan of about 20 years. Los Virgenes Municipal Water District Communications Manager Jeff Reinhardt says this is a new way to maintain water.
The shade balls are about a 4-inch sphere that's filled with distilled water, partially. And the purpose is to help protect the water in the reservoir.
The balls also have a carbon black coating to resist radiation from the sun. Shade balls are designed to not only prevent evaporation, but to also prevent algae growth. In this reservoir here in Calabasas, nearly 1 million have been dumped in order to protect the water. The shade balls became very popular after this video of them being released went viral. The Water District says that the video has brought a lot of recognition.
So we're getting a lot of funny comments just because of their name alone. And we've got a lot of YouTube subscribers out of this.
One of the comments said it looked like a chocolate river. The other remarks were more colorful. On the edge of the reservoir in Calabasas, Ayo Adelaja, Valley View News.
An Indiana woman jumped out of her car when she found a spider on her shoulder. The woman's son was still in the car. He jumped into the driver's seat and tried to hit the brakes. Instead, he hit the accelerator. The car then backed into an oncoming school bus. Fortunately, the bus did not have any children inside. The child had minor head injuries, and the bus driver was not injured.
Burbank is encouraging drivers to be more fuel efficient by adding new technology to parking spaces on the streets. Valley View News reporter Sarah Vong shows us where.
This is an electric car that is getting recharged. And as you can see, it isn't plugged into any typical station we normally see in shopping centers or campuses, like this one here, located at Cal State Northridge. It's being charged on a curbside in Burbank. It's one of the first projects funded by the California Energy Commission, which contributed over $160,000. The Energy Commission's project manager, Brian Fauble, says driving an electric car is a lot less expensive to maintain and fuel.
By building the infrastructure for electric vehicles throughout the state, we're trying to encourage more Californians to have confidence to drive these zero-emission vehicles like the plug-in electric vehicles.
This is one of the 8 electric charging stations that were recently installed by Burbank's Department of Water and Power. By having these chargers accessible on roadsides, the Energy Commission is hoping that it will help California reach that goal of having 1.5 million electric cars on the road by 2025. With 8 different locations, drivers can download an app called Green Lots that can help direct them to any station like this one on North Glen Oaks Boulevard, located in front of a vape store. Store manager Anthony Chikachian says he's seen many people using them.
They're a good idea. It just kind of doesn't really help with the business just because a lot of people don't know where our parking lot is, and a lot of people usually want to park there over anywhere else. And as soon as they see the charging station, usually they just kind of drive through, see it, and then leave, which kind of doesn't really help us as much. And they seem a little overpriced at the same time.
Depending on the time of day, these stations will charge 30 cents per kilowatt hour between the peak hours of 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. During off-peak hours, they will cost 17 cents per kilowatt hour. Drivers can pay with a credit card and are limited to only 2 hours of charging time. In Burbank, Sarah Vong, Valley View News.
A tiger killed one of its keepers at a New Zealand zoo. The animal was an adult male tiger named Oz. The Hamilton Zoo on New Zealand's North Island said the experienced keeper was inside the animal's pen when the tiger attacked. The big cat did not escape from its pen. An investigation started immediately after the incident. Hamilton Zoo said Oz will not be killed. The zoo closed for several days.
An unauthorized biography of British Prime Minister David Cameron claims he took part in an obscene initiation while at Oxford University. The act allegedly involved a dead pig and was said to be required to get into an elite Oxford society. Another allegation is that the Prime Minister smoked cannabis. The claims resulted in many humorous responses online. One report says the author of the book said it could be a case of mistaken identity based on an unverified photo of the initiation.
U.S. soldiers stationed in Afghanistan have reportedly been told to ignore the sexual abuse of boys by Afghan commanders. Soldiers are allegedly told by their officers to look the other way because it is an Afghan cultural practice. The policy of telling soldiers to ignore child sexual abuse is coming under new scrutiny. Some soldiers say they have faced discipline for reporting the abuse they've seen.
Muslim groups are asking GOP candidate Ben Carson to drop out of the 2016 presidential race. This is in response to Carson's recent comment on NBC's Meet the Press.
I would not advocate that we put a Muslim in charge of this nation. I absolutely would not.
Carson says Islam is inconsistent with the values and principles of America.
The Republican presidential debate last week brought international attention to nearby Simi Valley. Valley View News reporter Chris Wilson gives us a behind-the-scenes look, speaking with locals and national figures.
Hundreds from around the world flocked to Ronald Reagan Presidential Library for the recent GOP debate. Numbers were limited as parking lots quickly filled and shuttles ran constantly up and down the hillside. With high-profile political and media attendees, security was heightened throughout the grounds. Most locals we spoke to were excited to have such a prominent event happening in their backyard.
What a better opportunity than to bring the kids up to here and see a little piece of history happen.
Though many people we talked to expressed a disappointment the event wouldn't be more accessible to the public.
In the last debate there was, 20,000 people there, something like that. Here there can't be more than a few hundred. But it's a nice setting.
Republican National Committee Chief Strategist Sean Spicer spoke with Valley View News before the event. He was enthusiastic about the diversity the debate would represent for the GOP.
You've got, two Hispanic individuals. You've got a retired black neurosurgeon, the first female Fortune 20 CEO, reformist governors, top senators. This is truly an opportunity to shine for our party.
CNN, the hosts of the debate, had several high-profile journalists on hand at Ronald Reagan Presidential Library. Lead political anchor Wolf Blitzer arrived days ahead and ran newscasts live from Simi Valley.
And you see, 500 people in this relatively small room because there were thousands in Cleveland at that first debate, so it's a lot more intimate.
11 candidates participated in the main debate. CNN journalist Anderson Cooper took a moment to comment on the difficulties of this format.
It's a challenge for the moderators, obviously, for those people asking the questions, and it's a real challenge for the candidates themselves to try to get, as much time as they can to try to get their policies out there, and also to figure out how to deal with Donald Trump. Do they take him on directly? Do they try to ignore him? I think you're going to have a lot of candidates who feel like this is a make-or-break debate for them.
The debate itself proved most beneficial to late entrant Carly Fiorina.
I think women all over this country heard very clearly what Mr. Trump said.
Donald Trump commanded less attention than the previous debate, though he still received the most speaking time at just shy of 15 minutes.
With up to 10 debates remaining in the lead up to the GOP primary, there's sure to be plenty of excitement in the coming months. In Simi Valley, Chris Wilson, Valley View News.
If you have ever thought there's an expo for almost anything, you're right. Valley View News reporter Victor Park found an expo on some interesting creatures.
If you love tortoises and turtles,
these are Greek tortoises. They're native to the Mediterranean area.
We found a place for you.
Well, I learned about different species because I did not know there was this many type of species of turtles.
This is the California Turtle and Tortoise Expo.
So that they can take better care of their turtles and help with the conservation and preservation of the species.
Where organizers are not only here to show off their exotic creatures.
We see a lot of sad stories where their animals are very sick because they just didn't have the basic information. and they bought things on impulse.
They're also here helping anyone who owns or is hoping to own one of these.
That's one of our missions, yes, to teach people how to care for their turtles. Each species has a different habitat or a different diet. They have to learn that when you get a California desert tortoise, that you really shouldn't place it with a dog that could chew it up or give it an improper diet where it would have a shorter lifespan than it's supposed to.
Because organizers here say people aren't aware of the challenges it takes to own one.
They'll buy an impulse. They'll buy a tortoise which they know nothing about, and they'll come home and says, "Whoa, I don't know." They'll go buy a head of lettuce, iceberg lettuce, and literally kill the animal.
But for some, it only makes them want to own more turtles, even though
My mom wouldn't let me do that.
Now, organizers say that these events are held all across California, and you can even see things like this. Turtles that are in their eggs that are even hatching on site, like this little baby right here. In Long Beach, I'm Victor Park for Valley View News.
Coming up next, we'll have the latest on the Dodgers' playoff hopes. The Cowboys' Tony Romo was hurt playing Philadelphia Eagles.
And some surprising upsets in college football.
Hey there, Mrs. Carter. You can earn over 10% on your money if you deposit your savings into our investment program.
Lucky sweepstakes winner.
Mrs.
Just
Carter,
enter your
Grandma?
contact information
Checking
and
account
your
information.
winnings will
Grandma,
be
it's me. Please help me. I'm stuck in Ohio and my wallet was stolen. Please send me some money so I can get home.
Millions of people, especially seniors, are targeted every day by an array of fraudulent scams through online technology. Please be aware.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Former Olympian Kurt Angle's brother has been jailed on homicide charges. Here's Wahid Loden with more information.
Thanks, AJ. Police in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania say they've arrested the brother of Olympian Kurt Angle. They say David Angle killed his wife earlier this week in the couple's home. CBS News in Pittsburgh says police arrived at the scene and found Donna Angle unresponsive. David Angle allegedly told police that after an argument, his wife tried to kick him. He said he then grabbed her by the arms, pulled her off the couch, and put his foot on her chest and pulled. Angle is charged with homicide and is currently in Allegheny County Jail. Dallas Cowboys quarterback Tony Romo has injured his left collarbone in a win against the Philadelphia Eagles. Early reports say Romo will miss anywhere between 8 and 10 weeks. Cowboy health officials say they need to conduct further testing before they make a decision. There are also rumors that the Cowboys are searching for Romo's replacement. Some college football fans have been stunned with some upsets. The USC Trojans lost 41-31 to the Stanford Cardinal. Cardinal quarterback Kevin Hogan completed 18 of 23 passes for 279 yards. In another upset, number 15 ranked Ole Miss beat number 2 ranked Alabama 43-37. Alabama had a chance to tie the game with less than 4 minutes left, but quarterback Jake Coker threw an interception. 3 men have been arrested for allegedly assaulting a Minnesota Vikings fan after a San Francisco 49ers game. The assault happened Monday night following the game in the parking lot of Levi's Stadium. A video of the assault surfaced on social media, which police say helped detectives identify the suspects. Detectives say they arrested 32-year-old Felix Chavira, 33-year-old Juan Arias, and 30-year-old Eric Martinez. Following a loss to the Pirates on Sunday, the Dodgers' magic number for winning the National League West remains at 7 games. Manager Don Mattingly has many decisions to make before the season ends. A big one is which players to keep on the playoff roster. For example, rookie infielder Corey Seager has only played 16 games, but he got on base in all but one of those. Mattingly will also have to decide if he wants to leave a spot for the injured outfield star Yasiel Puig or give that spot to the hot-hitting Justin Ruggiano. The Dodgers have 14 games left to play in the regular season. That's it for sports. Back to you.
When we come back, see which of the biggest Latin American shows came to an end.
They're coming. Places, everybody.
Light check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Everything looks good on our end.
And lights.
Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
You're on your boat. Your engines are dead. You're starting to sink. and you can't get a cell phone signal. Thankfully, you have a Marine VHF radio on board tuned to Channel 16. The Coast Guard and other boaters monitor distress calls on Channel 16. A radio is the best way to call for help. Don't assume a cell phone will work. Communication is your lifeline. Be sure you're heard.
It was a memorable night with record-breaking wins. Jon Hamm, Viola Davis, and the show Game of Thrones were among the biggest winners. Here's Joanna Guzman with the rest of the Emmy recap.
Thank you, Noemi. It was definitely a memorable night. The 67th Emmy Awards, hosted by Andy Samberg, was a night of firsts for many. Viola Davis became the first African-American woman to win an Emmy for the Best Lead Actress on a drama series. Davis won the award for her role as defense lawyer on ABC's How to Get Away with Murder. It was also the first time in 8 years that HBO won in the Best Drama category and was the first victory for Game of Thrones, which is the most watched show in the network's history. Comedian Tracy Morgan presented the Best Drama award in a touching moment, as it was the first time he had been on stage since a serious car accident last year that left him in a coma for days. This was the 15th consecutive year that HBO scored the highest number of Emmy nominations, 126, and its 43 victories surpassed its previous high of 32 in 2004. Hundreds of thirsty people flocked to downtown Anaheim last weekend for the 3rd annual beer festival. Valley View News reporter Teresa Barrientos has more on what they call the Fest of Ales.
Beer shirts, beer desserts, and more beer. The 3rd annual Fest of Ales took place last weekend in Anaheim. Hundreds lined up for blocks for the unlimited craft beer tastings.
We have 40 different breweries from all over Southern California, and then we also have 18 different restaurants represented.
Anaheim's Mayor Tom Tate was in attendance to hand out the Mayor's Trophy to one lucky brewery. The festival also had a home brew competition.
Each guest today received a red bottle cap. They're able to use those red bottle caps and go over to the Yelp booth where they can drop them in a bag to vote for their favorite brewery.
And while many came for the live music and jumbo-sized Jenga, others came for more sentimental reasons.
We came to the first one on our first date, and we try to come back every year. And last year they canceled it, so we were able to come back this year. We're really excited.
Main Street Brewery from Corona brought in some very strong beers.
We got 2 hoppy beers, India Pale Ale and an India Pale Lager. And the lager used to Hop Mama, she wears the pants because she's got 8% alcohol, and the Hop Daddy has 7.
Partial proceeds from the event are going to Cops for Kids and the Downtown Anaheim Association. In Anaheim, Teresa Barrientos, Valley View News.
After 53 years on television, the Spanish-language show Sábado Gigante aired its final episode. It was a tribute to legendary host Mario Kreutzberger, who's also known as Don Francisco. Sábado Gigante was a 3-hour family show known for its comedy, musical acts, contests, and car giveaways. Speaking from the White House, President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama congratulated Don Francisco on an extraordinary career. That's it for entertainment. Back to you.
Thank you for watching this edition of Valley View News. I'm Arnulfo Romero.
And I'm Noemi Barajas. Have a good week.